Alright guys, so this time around on the videos, what I'm going to be doing is pushing a bit of the DD Commander run on things. Once again, like with all the other videos, I'm working on trying to crack and figure out the stacks for the ships and how they best respond to commanders and their commander stacks. Now, there's a couple of types of DD players. There's the silent scouts, and then there's the more aggressive scouts. Now, there's those are your two spectrums for a DD. You have a DD that is basically the silent scout. You're set up with high percentage of disguise and insane scouting range, but you lack any power to get into a firefight with another DD, for example. I excuse me. I have chosen kind of the middle ground again. Playing the American Fleet Line, I am definitely prone to playing all the fields, which is a great strength and a horrible weakness for a DD that you will find in the game really hard to cope for. But that being said, my tier 9 gearing, as you can see, I have painted and I'll change paint on it pretty constantly. The base setup that I definitely find worthwhile for this is always rangefinder on your DD, without a doubt or hesitation. Rangefinder's imperative. That's half a kilometer almost in scouting range on its own, which is huge. The other two, I see a lot of people change these two out between boiler preheater and electric hydraulic steering gear. To me, the ability to turn on a dime and stop and go is huge. Being able to stop, turn, move, get out of the way. That is very, very, very important for a scout. A lot of people will switch over to a custom hoist and a chain loader, for example, to increase the offensive tactical capability of the ship. Um, I don't see that being a problem. I see that that would be perfectly fine for people. I just happen to like the ability of maneuverability more so than firepower reloading. Though it could save your bacon, I don't necessarily see that being needed, especially if you're not shooting. If you're going for silent and hidden, if you're going to get up close with another DD, you're pretty much just going to have a wailing time anyway, so you got to be able to dodge that. But those being the basis, then obviously regular smoke and gold smoke and repair kit. I don't. If you catch your DD on fire, you're gonna burn no matter what, and it's worthwhile to hide more than worry about fire. Repair, I don't. Repair is more important to me than fire. I mean, fire will burn you alive in a DD, but usually at that point, if you're getting caught on fire, there's somebody using explosive rounds, and you're gonna get tagged regardless of what happens. Now, as far as captains go, it's anybody's game really how they want to do this. A lot of people love Casper Moss because of battle instinct that the alarm will be triggered when detected by the enemy. I find that a a good but bad thing at the same time because as a DD, if you're out scouted and you fire off battle instinct, you'll charge headlong into a group not knowing that you've been spotted, and then you'll get shot at and then spotted. Then your alarm will go off when the other ships spot you. But once you've been highlighted by that DD, you don't know whether or not your proxy is correct. You might proxy on the battleship, and if by golly gee, if you are that close to a battleship, you're probably dead anyways. But I myself use Gerard Roop. Um, because he's got the Falcon Punch going on. I think that's absolutely hilarious to me. But his high velocity impact is huge. As a DD, I have used high velocity impact to take out a counter DD just by ramming it. It usually means I die, but the fact is that 20% extra damage on impact from a DD at 40. I think I hit 43 knots at. It's either 43 or 44 knots at highest velocity. So it takes into consideration my speed and displacement. So if I smash into somebody at 44 knots with my DD, it's going to be a hell of a smash. But I think I've taken out like 1,500, 2,000 something health with that high velocity impact. What's great about him is he has survival instinct. So if you lose Nakayama Arashi and you gain like Andrew Cunningham, for example, the 4-star that has mobile beacon, um, you at least retain survival instincts, which is good because of that proxy for extra scouting range. Followed up by high explosive depth charge, blast radius by 25%, especially on the gearing. I wish I could show you the depth charge pattern, but you have 2 on each side. But unlike other ships that launch them out to about where my mouse is here, they drop right here, and the rears drop right here, and those sides drop right there. With a 25% increase in blast radius damage, excuse me, was it blast radius damage, I think? Blast radius, so not damage, just blast radius. That area that sits right here off the rear end that a sub usually can sneak through, can't sneak through now. So I have, if that sub turns, my blast radius is pretty much a giant bubble around the ass end of my ship, which means that ship is going to take a lot of damage because they overlap so well. Which is important, especially with sub commanders who are risky enough to come to the surface to avoid the depth charge. After that, you have Soul of the Royal Navy. When equipped on a destroyer, increased durability and resilience by 8%, making parts less likely to damage, and increases your health overall. So when I go into battle, my ship has over 9,000 health versus the 8,400 it's supposed to have, which is huge because that's a pissing match with a Shimikaze. It really, really, really helps. That extra health is a salvo from a Shimikaze or something else. Just pecking away at you, which is nice to have a little bit extra health. And the resilience is huge for parts, especially on a DD that's prone to getting whaled by something with explosive rounds. And then lastly, have Enhanced Torpedo 1. Woo. Uh, increased torpedo speed by 1%. American torpedoes, not the world's fastest torpedoes, so, you know, I get a, what is it? I got 66%, so 1% of that, so I'm going to not really gain a whole lot. At all. But, you know, hey, not a big problem. It's not a horrible thing. What's beautiful about Gerard Root is when you get him... Oh, where are you, Root? There you are. To 4-star, or excellent, and you survival instincts procs, but what cracks me up is legendary increases torpedo speed by 2%. That really made me sad. I thought he was going to get something better than that, but I think they're trying to keep him from being a little bit too broken. Now, I have, in my secondary position, is Koga Shinsuke. He is awesome possum because what he'll allow you to do, and he also works on subs too if you don't have a set commanders. I'll do subs at a later date, but the beautiful thing about Koga is you ignore his captain ability. The damage increase is cute. I mean, it's good, but it's not really something you want over, for example, a high-speed impact that's kind of like a last-ditch effort to be like, nope, screw you, you're going down with me. Koga has Giant Killer. Casper has the same ability too, which kind of sucks because I hate double stacking proxies that can't stack, but you take the good with the bad. Koga increases your reload speed by 20, 30, 40, 50, and 60%. Now, why is that great? Because that's chain loader, and all you gotta do is sink a battleship or carrier. Which is really hard to do as a DD unless you catch one with their pants down and you just torp city them. However, at that point, you got that one ship. Now your torpedo reload speed's 20%, which is better than the static 10 that you normally get. You know, people will then say, oh, well, if you have the chain loader, now you're at 30%. So it goes 30, 40, 50, 60, and 70%. Yeah, that's true. However, maneuverability, stack on that. I would rather take the massive increased ability and acceleration than an extra 10% on torpedoes because realistically, you're not going to get multiple chances to get that close to a battleship. You really aren't. Now, he has Torpedo Reloader 2, which increases surface reload by 2%, which, okay, so now that leaves you 8% reload difference between Koga and Chain Loader. Not too bad. He does increase your engine by 1 knot, which is beautiful. That just, a knot on a DD is a lifesaver. Every knot you can get that can get you out there faster or further away from the shitstorm that is about to present is good. Now, last but not least, his 4-star ability, is Oxygen Torpedo, which increases torpedo range by 10 and damage by 8 when assigned as your gunner. Boy, howdy. That means less torpedoes to sink bigger ships. That's huge. Because now you do a damage of increase by 8%. If you go look at the gearing, your damage is 34. So you take 34 times 0.08%, adds 274.72. So you add that to 34. That means each torpedo is now doing 3,708 damage at peak efficiency. Now let's go ahead and look at a tier 10 battleship. A tier 10 battleship like my Illinois, for example, is going to have 19,220 health. So we're going to take 37,808. And then we're going to take the, what did I say, 19,000, I think? 19,220. So we're going to take that 19,220, divide by the 3708. We'll actually call it 3709 because it's 37.872. It means it's only going to take 5 torpedoes to sink in Illinois. 5 torpedoes. If you sneak up on one, you hit it with 5 torpedoes, your likelihood is to kill it. Now, giving the save anger that you might kit somebody with a buffed armor or torpedo compartment, you can see that jumping back up to 10 because you're going to lose about 2/3 of your impact damage. Well, still, 10 torpedoes is a decent kill shot on a larger battleship. So, you know, it really depends on everything else you have proxied around it, but I honestly think, regardless, it's one of the best 4-star abilities because this also works on any ship. Oxygen Torpedo works on DDs, subs, light cruisers, heavy cruisers, battleship. I do not think it works on carriers, though. I haven't had a chance to test it. I doubt it, but it'd be cool if it did, to be perfectly honest, to add just shenaniganry to my aircraft carriers. Now, the beauty of Koga Shinsuke is what you're about to witness at Tier 5. So his surface vessels is 2%. When he gets to Legendary, you get Torpedo Reloader 4. Increases the torpedo reload speed of surface vessels by 10% when assigned as your gunner. So, Koga has a double stacking gunner ability. He increases range and damage by 8, reload by 10 for one position. So he gives you 3 things in one position. Sadly, the surface kind of kills it for subs, but you know what? That's fine. You know, you don't have to put him to 5-star if you don't want him on if you don't want to put him on that high because you run subs. But as a surface ship, holy crap. Cruisers get the advantage of Giant Killer because their main guns can kill a battleship or a carrier, which increases their torpedo reloads. This is mostly a Japanese line, by the way. The Americans don't get torpedoes after, like, tier 4 or 5, sadly. But now your torpedo reload is now 10 static and 20 proxied. You still get the 1 knot, and you get the range and the damage increase. So, all in all, for a DD, Koga is an amazing gunner. And, honestly, there are very few 5-stars that are worth it, and he is absolutely, beyond a shadow of a doubt, worth the 5 stars. From there, we rock... Oh, also taking into consideration when you get him up to level 10 and 4 stars, you're going to increase your weapon reload speed statically in the position, so you really do increase your reload speed anyways. I'm already 5% of that 10%. Not bad for just having a good commander in there, especially with he has a decent battle power overall. Next up, we have Casper Moss. What I like about Casper is that they got rid of Comet being a captain ability. That is a huge savings grace to being able to put him where he's needed without forcing him to be the captain. Like I said, a lot of people love him for the Battle Instinct, but honestly, Battle Instinct isn't going to be the greatest thing since sliced bread, simply because you will find if you're already spotted, that doesn't help you at all. It really doesn't. Giant Killer, it's a stack over with Koga. They don't stack on top of each other, and they're not a proxy ability. They're a static ability, so, sucks that we lose that, but hey, it's what it is. Next, you get Comet, which is the max speed of 1 knot, so now Koga and him are increasing your speed by 2 knots, so whatever your base knot is, let's look at my speed over here to the right. It's 38.47 knots. So that means he adds 1, Koga adds 1. There's 39, there's 40. So I go 40.47 knots. Now, acceleration by 8 and performance by 8, coupled with the steering and the boiler preheater down there, my acceleration is 18% better, and my steering is 18% better, and I get an extra knot. But it gets better because of Casper being where he is, and also that I'm going to end up putting him at 4-star when I stop moving my qualifications around. Don't ask. His position, speed, acceleration, and steering. He adds 6% to speed. 6% of 40.47 is enough to hit you 41 knots. Acceleration and steering are another 6 and 6%, which means you have 10, 8, 6 for acceleration and 10, 8, 6 for steering. So it's an insanely high. What is that? That's 24, 25% increase. It's a quarter increase to steering and acceleration, with Casper being there. Yeah. My DD can move quickly and efficiently. That's huge. Moving, getting out of the way, and not letting people know where you are. Huge for a DD. Casper's other ability, Enhanced Radar 2, is scouting range by 150 meters. I don't know if you guys have noticed, but he's the first one to buff my scouting range. But if you look at my scouting range, it's 56, 67 already. A big thing about that is having high-level commanders on your ship with good point systems. So the more stars, the more stars, higher level, metal battle power overall, the increase is very specific to the ship to increase its ability greatly in the long game. Steel Waltz, his last ability, is useful. Guns and torpedo tubes rotate 8% faster. On a DD, it's a significant difference. On the battleships and other ships of the higher caliber, it's not nearly as noticeable, but it is noticeable. So he is a great commander for DDs, cruiser lights, and cruiser heavies. Not really so much in the battleship line. Next up, we have Nakayama Arashi on the comms. The beauty with him is almost everybody has him, and he sits in the composition comfortably with 500 extra scouting meters, survival instincts, penetration, and torpedo speed by 2%. Now, you can couple that torpedo speed with Gerard Roop. However, the fact is, I'm not going to put Nakayama Arashi to 4 stars. I'm going to save that. Qualifications for upgrading somebody else. However, if you look at his 5-star, his penetration jumps to 3%. That's more of a battleship thing than anybody else, which is cute, but not going to be useful. Now, as for who I would replace him with, it's quite simple. Where'd he go? Andrew Cunningham. Where are you? There you are. Now, why everybody asks me why Andrew Cunningham? He has a mobile beacon, which increases scouting range by 5, sonar detection by 4, and comms range by 4. He nails 3 things the same as Nakayama Arashi, but he does more. He also gets Giant Killer, which was really depressing. I wish he would have had Survival Instincts or something else, because that's 3 positions on my ship that have Giant Killer, and that's really frustrating to me. However, he increases torpedo speed by 1.5%. Sorry, I was on Legendary. Which is almost as good as Nakayama's 4-star ability, which is 2%. He reduces the influence of steering on the main artillery by 4% and mobile beacon. So he really gives you the mobile beacon and the torpedo speed. The Giant Killer is a pain in the butt, and gyroscope, not really helpful as a DD, but it adds up. But really the mobile beacon is huge because it's sonar and scouting and communication range. So you don't ever get out of range of communicate with your team, which is huge because you're the DD. You're the reason they can see. Now, last but not least, I forgot all about Felix, and I've beat the crap out of him and demoted him and put him back in. I unfortunately dumped him back down from 4 stars. He was at 4 stars a long time ago, which was my bad. On the back of a destroyer, he's huge. He does scouting and disguise. Now, 150 meters at level 10 is huge. His disguise of 7 and another 5% to ship acceleration. So now you're like looking at like 30% ship acceleration and 7% disguise. Can't go wrong with that. Now, a lot of people go, well, that's not nearly enough scouting. Nakayama's 5, Casper's 1, and Felix is 150. So that's 5, 6, 7. It's 800 meters of extra scouting statically by those 3 lower captains, which is almost 1 square in the ship game, which is not bad. And then you have the proxy of 300 meters on top of that. So that boils down to, if I add 150 meters to Felix to my scouting range over there to the right, you're looking at about 5,800 meters, which means with a proxy I can see about 6,000 meters, which is roughly 6 squares. I find that useful, however, you're fighting disguise. The higher the disguise, no matter how far your scouting range is, you just won't be able to see them. And I will point out that there is one 4-star commander that might actually be useful in a switch out, and that would be Donald McIntyre. He has the blast radius increase that Gerard Roop has, but he has Foresight, which increases your scouting range by 800 meters for 15 seconds. That's really good because that puts your scouting range out at to like 7,000 meters, which is pretty freaking awesome. He has Master Fisher, which grants a 75% chance to decrease ship sonar interval time by 0.8 and increase blast damage by 8 when lighting up submarines, 15 seconds. So you blip a submarine, you got 15 seconds to go get it and hit the crap out of it. He increases ship steering performance by 5%, and he decreases sonar detection by 0.3 and increases blast radius by that. So, you can drop Gerard Roop from the captain slot and lose a little bit of health for far superior scouting range and some anti-sub goodies, or you can just go with it. It's kind of your playstyle. Like I said, there's the silent scouts, and then there's the mid-range, and then there's the heavy-hitting DDs. I can tell you to go either direction, but that's really depending on your playstyle with your teammates. I'm a little more aggro when it comes to my DD. I like a balance of scouting and attack, which you can see by the top 2 are all about aggression and not scouting, whereas the bottom 3 are about scouting and staying hidden. So, ship bonuses, scouting range, all that fun stuff are huge. All the more reason why I want to get a higher level commander in here. I don't want to give him 4 stars. I love Nakayama Arashi. I've had him since the beginning. It's just he's not going to be very useful in the end game there. So overall, that's kind of the rundown for the DD. If you have any questions, feel free to bug me about it, and I can go over a few things with you about, what do you want to do, where do you want to go. Other than that, hope you enjoy. If you have any questions, just leave a comment and just let me know. Thanks, guys.